Hey, Lauren.
Hi.
It's been forever since we've been in the studio.
It has.
I thought we could kind of catch up a little bit and talk about what we've been up to the last couple months since we've recorded. We've both been doing a lot of traveling with our families. It's summertime, so we've been getting on airplanes. Where have you gone? The last time we talked, you had gone to Hawaii. So where have you traveled since?
Okay, let's see. Hawaii, and then my husband and my child, we went to Spain, which is a long trip to take with a toddler.
How long of a flight?
Let's see. So from here to New York, I think it was about 5 hours. And then from New York to Spain was about 6 or 7 hours.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
And how far along are you now?
Pregnancy?
Yeah.
I am 7 months.
So, and your Spain trip was when?
I don't even know.
Like end of May?
2 months ago? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So far enough along that you were uncomfortable or you were still pretty okay?
I was okay up until the flight coming back to the U.S. I ended up, my legs got really swollen. My legs and
Ooh.
my feet got swollen. So had to move all that fluid around. I'm no longer swollen, which is good.
Yeah.
And then I've flown after that since then, and I was worried about continuously getting swollen, but it didn't happen again.
Where'd you go that time?
I think it's because the flights were shorter.
Oh, yeah.
Too, not
Yeah.
having to sit for as long. Let's see. And then I went with my son, just us two together, solo trip to Ohio to visit my in-laws. And then we took another family trip to Nashville.
Oh, I didn't know you went to Nashville.
Yeah.
Was that like a week ago?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was your solo trip, doing it this far along in your pregnancy, by yourself, not having help, and then you also have a toddler. So
Yeah.
how was that?
I was really worried because I was like, if he bolts from me, if he runs in the airport, I don't know if I can catch up to him.
Mm-hmm. And he's a runner.
Yes. Yeah. But he did really good in the airport.
Good.
So we had conversations beforehand, like, we're going to go on a trip. You're going to be on an airplane. You can't run away. And so he had it in his head. He's like, okay, no running away. He helped me with our luggage as much as he could, but he was trying to help. So he did good.
That's good.
Yeah.
And then why'd you go to Nashville?
Family.
Just vacation or?
There was family there.
What did you do?
My dad's family's there. I had a cousin that got married, and then just stayed for 4th of July.
Very
4th
cool.
of July. So
How was your flight back and forth for that?
that was great too.
Yeah.
So the hard flights were Hawaii, getting delayed, and then Spain. We ended up, there was a protest in Spain the day that we were supposed to come back. I didn't tell you this?
No.
Oh, okay. So there was a protest in Spain the day that we were supposed to come back from people that work at the airport. It's a separate company that works on loading all the luggage into the airplanes.
Okay.
And they were protesting. So there was nobody there to physically load the plane with our luggage. And they kept delaying the flight, like 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours. I think this is why I got swollen. So we're sitting in the airport for, I think, 12 hours waiting for this flight. We can't leave. We can't go anywhere because they just keep delaying it just 2 hours. So you're like, okay, well, surely we're going to get on the plane now.
Mm-hmm. At that point, I'd be like, let me down there. I'll just put my own luggage in there.
Yeah.
Everybody just be responsible for your own luggage and let's get this going.
Yeah.
Why were they protesting? Like wages or something?
Pay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's rough. Especially to be in a whole other country and...
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, by that time frame, we're like, we could have already been in New York. We could have already been in Vegas. So, of course, it already delayed, because it's delayed there, delays us missing our flight to Vegas. So we had to spend the night in New York. And it just made a very long trip.
That's so rough. And that's, I guess, a good time for us to introduce the title of this episode, which is talking about traveling and stressors, especially with kids. So welcome back to Nora's Table. This is Savanna and Lauren, and today we're going to be talking about how to navigate traveling with kids and family and the stressors that come with it and how to kind of keep your mind together. So what did you do as a therapist to try to, especially because you're pregnant, to try to keep the stress down with all of that stuff going on?
Yeah. I think stress is stress, right? So whatever works for you on a daily basis of managing stress is probably going to work in other situations of stressful times. I think what compounds to the stress is we have, of course, different kinds of stress. So we'll have like work stress, we'll have personal stress, we'll have home. But then when you're factoring in other people, especially tiny people that you're responsible for, and managing, toddlers have just super high emotions. Like everything will set them off, right? So it's managing stress of like, okay, reminding yourself, like, stay calm, reminding yourself of, okay, what do I have control over? I don't have control over the flight being delayed. So I'm going to try and make the best of the situation that I'm presented in.
And your poor son has spent so much time in airports this summer. Like, the Hawaii and the airport is outside, and he's had to deal with that. And then getting stuck in Spain, this poor kid is just like, I'm over it. Yeah. And also, toddlers don't know what's going on. You can't explain to a toddler that there's a delay because people are protesting because they're not getting paid enough. They're just like, I don't care. Like, I'm bored. I'm hungry. I'm tired. You need to, relieve these 3 needs that I have. I don't care what's going on with you. Yeah. They're kind of funny and selfish that way. They're like, whatever stress you've got going on is fine, but I have my own stress. Yes. So we went to Georgia for like our first. It's my husband's family over there. Our first like family reunion, I guess, and I was nervous. So normally this was Barrett's first flight. With Jameson, when we would fly with him, we would get a layover. And it made for like a longer traveling day, but it was so much easier to get him off the plane like an hour and a half in, only having to entertain him in like short windows, like cycling through activities for an hour and a half, get him off the plane, get him fed, get his diaper changed, let him run a little bit, then do like another hour and a half. So much easier. And it gets us to our destination later, but I would rather get there like sane, have my sanity intact and a fairly good mood rather than doing this like long 4-hour flight where we're cycling through activities that he doesn't care about. So I think I kind of drove Bobby crazy a little bit because I was so stressed about preparing for activities and things and making sure that there was new stuff constantly for him to be doing and like constantly stimulated that I was like buying things excessively. Like I bought an airplane bed so that the boys could sit on like this inflatable mattress, and it ended up working really well. But then I bought
I know what you're talking about. It like sits on the seat, right? And then it's like an extender for the legs.
Yeah, it makes like a L shape, and then it goes down like almost where like the pocket would be, and makes like one flat surface. Yes. So we were able to fit both boys on there. I gave them both a snack box. They played with cars. It was awesome. I got fidget spinners for the window or for the tray so that Bear had something to do. I got tape that looked like a road. Because I was like, I'll put it on the tray, and then he can just play with his cars and trucks for a little while. I got sensory foam. What else? I went to Walmart, and I got probably like $150 worth of snacks.
Okay.
I'm like, even if we just give them a snack every 5 minutes, just something new, we've got to get there, right? I don't care if I'm shoveling food in his face for 3 hours. Just something for entertainment, something to do. I didn't even pack half the snacks. Like I packed a backpack with fruit bars and fruit snacks and all this stuff, and Bobby's just looking at me like this is an overabundance of snacks. But I would rather have too much than not enough and be like panicking, trying to figure out what to do. So we had my mother-in-law, my younger sister-in-law, and her new husband with us. So there was actually one point on the flight down there and also we flew Spirit. Oh, so that already is just like, okay.
Their seats are like ironing boards.
Yeah, basically, you sit at a 90-degree angle, which, who reclines on a plane anyways? There's not really like a recline, but it's like straight up, you cannot move. There's no leg room. So there was one point where our boys were over with my in-laws, and Bobby and I got to just kind of sit and be adults. And with quiet, and nobody was climbing on us or crying, and it was so nice. And I was like, oh, if the rest of the flight is like this is gonna be amazing. So it ended up being pretty good. It was like a 4-hour, 2-minute flight, and I'm pretty sure we got there in 3 because we were coming down, and I was like, holy moly, like that was nothing. Yeah, we survived, you know. So that already kind of set my expectations for the way home, which is probably where I failed.
Okay.
So the way home, we were flying Frontier, which I thought Spirit was like the bottom, right? They're like the cheapest flights where if you're like a single person and you don't want to spend a lot of money, perfect, Spirit. Mm-hmm. Frontier, I'm like, they've got to be at least a step above Spirit. They were not. I will never fly Frontier again. So the paper the morning of, we had a Tahoe as a rental. So we had my younger sister-in-law and her husband with us in the Tahoe so that they didn't have to ride the shuttle from Atlanta to Athens and back and forth. And plus they stayed with us the last night. So they were in the Tahoe with us. My mother-in-law is sending me pictures. The page of our confirmation and like the codes and stuff on it said we would be departing at 9:10 a.m. It was 6:30. We knew that security was going to be rough because my older sister-in-law had just flown out the morning before with her boys, and she said she spent an hour and a half in the security line. So we knew security was going to be a little cringy, right? So we wanted to make sure we got there in plenty of time. All of our bags were checked in. My mother-in-law had paid for them already, so we basically just had to throw them on the plane. She was like really prepared that way. So we thought 9:10, we have plenty of time. She sent a picture of the board, which said 8:37. So I'm thinking that's the time that we would start to board, and then we would depart at 9:10.
Yeah.
So we dropped off the rental. Then we're standing in line, and my mother-in-law is like, is this gray duffel bag your carry-on? And I was like, no, I have the diaper bag. Jameson has his backpack. Bobby has his backpack. So this will be a check because it was a check going down there. And she was like, oh, I forgot about it. I didn't pay for it, so we'll have to do it. Also, Frontier has Jameson flying by himself.
Yes.
Like, in his own row by himself, surrounded by strangers.
Gotcha.
And she's like, I paid extra to pick where we could sit, and they messed it up. And they have Bobby sitting with, or Bobby and the boys were on one reservation. I was on another, and then they had Jameson by himself in a seat. And I'm just like, that is not going to work. I'm not sending my 3-year-olds. Like, anyways, I was like, that's not going to happen. So she's like, we'll just go up to the counter and we'll get it all situated. I paid for it already, so they have to fix it. Mm-hmm. So we get up there. Frontier, so with Spirit, if you are flying with an infant or you're military, you have like an assisted line, right? Mm-hmm. Where they're like, let's get you through. You got strollers and stuff. They were great about it. Frontier was not that way. They put us with everyone else. So I'm in this line with everybody else's luggage, trying to push this stroller that's loaded down with stuff. And it took us like maybe 40 minutes to get through that line. And then another 15, 20 to talk to this guy to get him to fix what should have been already taken care of. By the time, and then we get into security, and security was like, yeah, you have a stroller. You go this way. My mother-in-law did not go with us. She went in a different line with the general public, as well as my sister-in-law. Somehow they got through before we did, having a stroller. And they got on the train and got to the plane. Mm-hmm. We were in the line trying to board, like at the gate at 8:37, and they had already shut the door.
Wow.
Like for 5 minutes before that.
Yeah.
I'm like, we did not mess up here. Whether you guys landed early and decided you were taking off early or not, that makes no difference. You put on the paper 9:10.
Right.
That's what everybody else assumed we would be taking off at. Mm-hmm. And we weren't the only ones that missed it. I mean, we were running with these kids and strollers and trying to get on planes. And the Atlanta airport is huge.
Right.
So we get up to the gate and we're like, is there any way to get on? They're like, no, we already shut the doors, which I feel like I already knew from watching movies that they're like, it will never reopen, you know? Yeah. And then there's people lining up behind us because they also missed it. So I knew it wasn't just us. Mm-hmm. It's not like I read it wrong or, concocted something in my head. A lot of people missed it. So then we're like, okay, well, now what do we do? And she said, well, we have 2 flights going out tonight. One, and mind you, this is 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So she's like, we have one that departs at 4 p.m. and it has a layover in Tampa. Ugh. For 3 hours. And then there's a straight shot to Vegas that departs here at 11 tonight. Like, neither of these are good options.
Right.
What are we going to do? Like, if it was Bobby and I, we would have sat at the bar all day, had a grand old time. Right. Doesn't matter which flight you pick, we'll be in Vegas sometime this week. And it would not have been a big deal. But I have 2 kids, 3 and under, that are hungry and tired because I woke them up at 4 this morning, mm-hmm. and are now like Jameson's like, get on the plane.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe.
Not yet.
Yeah. No, not for like another 9 hours.
Yeah.
So he keeps saying like, get on the plane. Get on the plane. And I'm like, soon. Maybe. You know. So we turn around. We're trying to figure out what to do. And I'm like, let's just do the 11. So at least it's a straight shot. And that doesn't get us into Vegas until like 1 a.m. And he's like, that's not going to work. Like, we would not even leave until forever tonight. We'd be sitting in the airport literally all day. Mm-hmm. So he's like, let me make a call. And then the gate attendant was like, we only have 5 seats left on the plane that leaves at 4. He was like, okay, let's do that one. He was like, never mind. You just made up my decision, you know? So we got that all figured out. We went and got some lunch or like breakfast, I guess, at that point. And then Bobby found that they had these like little sleep pods where you could rent like a little room. It has a bed, a pull-out sofa, a desk. There's a refrigerator in there. A TV, and I was like, cool, let's do it. It was like $100 for 2 hours. Like, that'll at least get us close to where we need to be, like where we could check in at the gate. So we went and did that, because up until this point, Barrett, and he's not walking yet, so he had only been carried on me, or he'd been in the stroller. He had not been allowed to like play on the floor or crawl around or stretch his legs. So I'm like, let's go to this sleep pod. We can put him on the sofa. He can entertain himself for a little bit. So we went and did that. Tried to get the boys to nap for a little bit because it was nap time by this point. Jay got a half-hour nap. Bear didn't nap at all. And then after that, we went and got a little bit of food and then hung out by the gate. And then the flight was 50 minutes late leaving the runway. Like, so you guys could not get out of here fast enough this morning.
Yes.
And then we have a layover in Tampa, and you guys are 50 minutes late. What is wrong with you people? I was just so frustrated. Like, I knew Bobby and I were going to get through it. It was going to be stressful, but we were going to give each other some grace because it was a long day. But I was just like, this is ridiculous. And then we get to Tampa and weren't departing until 9 p.m., which is already past my boys' bedtime. So they weren't napping because there's so much going on in the airport. I don't know if we needed to like get on a train and go to a different part of the Tampa airport, but the part that we were in, there was like nothing to eat. There was a Panda. There was one tiny little cafe that had like a bar in it, so I didn't even know if my kids could go in there. And then there was 2 or 3 like little convenience stores. There was nothing. So we did Panda. There really was not like any options. I loaded them up with like ibuprofen for their ears, because landing in Tampa, Jay was starting to complain about ear pain. So I was like, shoot, I gave him his binky, I gave him a cup, and I was like, you really just gotta like try to swallow. So I loaded him up with ibuprofen so that they weren't hurting on the way home. And then the ride home, we blow up the air mattress thing again. Jay conks out. He is so tired from only having a half-hour nap and it being way past his bedtime. So he sleeps for like 4.5 of the 5 hours. He's out on this mattress, like sprawled out. He's great. Bear takes a little bit more. We finally get him to sleep. And then Bobby's like, can you take him? My ankle hurts. I'm like, yeah. So I take him. I'm rocking him because, I don't know, he would wake up if I stopped. So I have to rock him constantly for 4.5 hours. Bobby has got his Nintendo Switch out. He is stretched out because he's got the aisle seat. He's having a grand old time. Playing Nintendo, playing Mario, all this stuff. And I am literally in one spot rocking this baby. And I'm just like, how did I get here?
Yep.
What happened? What wrong turn did I make that I ended up in this godforsaken seat where I have no leg room? So it was a rough flight home. Luckily, after we knew that our flight had got, that we missed it, I called my mom because she was expecting us. She's like, I've been watching your baby monitor temp, and Barrett's room is like 95 degrees because we turned the air off when we left.
Oh, okay.
She's like, so let me know when you're headed home. I'll go over there. I'll turn the air on, check on the house, make sure it's okay for you to come home. And I was like, you're amazing. So then I called her. And I'm like, we're not going to get home until like 11 tonight. And she's like, all right. When is your original flight landing? Let me go get your baggage. I'll come pick you up.
Well,
all
that's
this
awesome.
stuff. Yeah, so she was amazing. She super helped us out. So when my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law landed in Vegas on what should have been our flight, my mom and my sister were there to grab our baggage and all that stuff from them, and then they went and dropped our bags off at home and then came back to pick us up with car seats and stuff. So the silver lining of all of this was that when we got home, we got to just leave. We didn't have to stand at the carousel with overly tired kids and try to figure out bags and all this stuff. My mom was there to greet us, and she just loaded us up and took us home. Mm-hmm. So that was really amazing. But this day, I was just like, my kids will never see the inside of an airplane until they're 10. I'm not doing this ever again unless we're flying first class Delta, where we got like bottle service and there's somebody to rub my feet for the entire flight. I'm not doing it. So yeah, it was a lot of stress. And then my child does not understand how dirty and gross an airport is. Mm-hmm. So Jameson the entire day was dropping his binky on the floor, dragging his wolf blankie across the floor, and I'm just like, kid, you're gonna give us like some super bug. Quit dropping your shit on the floor. And I would have to pick up his binky and run to the bathroom and wash it off before I could give it back to him. And then if we were in a hurry or trying to get to food or whatever and you drop it, I'm like, I can't get to the bathroom now. So you're just going to have to wait. And I'd put the binky away and then he would cry. If you would just keep track of your stuff, it would really help me out right now. So it was a lot of stress. I'm so glad that we're home now.
It feels like eternity when you're stuck in those situations, too.
So long. Like, the clock just drags.
Yep.
And like I said, if it was just Bobby and I, it would have been an easy breezy day. Mm-hmm. So what? We missed our flight, Yeah. Better luck next time. Having the boys, it was so hard. And in that moment, it's hard for me to ground myself, to be mindful and try to think of how to get myself out of that stress. In that moment, my body is flushed. I'm super irritable. I can feel my face getting hot. I'm getting, short with the boys, especially with him dropping his binky and stuff. I must have told him to pick his binky and his blankie up off the floor 1,500 times. Mm-hmm. So I'm getting short with them. I'm tired. My feet hurt because I wore these Walmart knockoff brand Birkenstocks, not thinking I would be walking 5 miles in a day. So I'm getting like blisters on my feet, pushing the stroller around. I'm hungry and it was a lot. And it's hard in that moment to remember to bring yourself back to the present, and be like, it's fine. It's going to be okay. At the end of the day, we are going to be home. Mm-hmm. So,
I don't even know if it's about bringing yourself to the present moment, because that current present moment kind of sucks.
It does. And it's really hard to stay optimistic.
Right.
I just kept focusing on like, mom's got everything back home handled. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have to worry about that. That was like one less thing, because if we were going to have to try to figure out where our luggage got put from sitting on the carousel so long.
Right.
Now what? Because they have our car seats. So if our luggage gets lost, if somebody takes off with our car seat, whatever, when we get home, we're screwed. We're stuck at the airport longer,
Mm-hmm.
So it was nice to just focus on, like, everything back home is handled.
Yes.
All we have to do is get through this flight.
Yep, just get home.
Yeah. And by the grace of God, both of my kids slept. So there's the positive of that. And then everybody was coughing on the flight. And I had started to kind of lose my voice towards the end of the trip because I think allergies. Because it had been raining a lot. We were out, like,
lots
riding.
Of humidity.
Yes, the humidity was killer. So we had gone, like, riding through the trees and kind of kicked a bunch of stuff up. And I was basically catching spider webs with my face. Like, we were out in the dirt and the allergens and, so that's a word, right? Allergens?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sounded weird coming out. So I thought it was just probably allergies. Nobody else was sick out there, so I was like, it just has to be me. Then towards the end of the flight, I started coughing. And I'm like, oh, man, this is not good. Next morning, I feel like crap. I have a really bad cough. Jameson is miserable. Like, he's got a 103 fever. He's not doing good. All he wants to do is sleep, which is weird for that kid. He just wanted to sleep. He just wanted to lay on the couch, or he wanted to lay on me. He wanted his head rubbed. He didn't want to eat or drink anything. I gave him ibuprofen. It would kind of take the fever down a little bit, but then as soon as it wore off, it was right back. So I'm like, he must have caught something stupid from the airport, which if you had just kept your freaking binky off the ground, you know? I just kept thinking like, oh, I told you. I kept telling you. And then here we caught something. And so this went on for 4 days. Now, the last time we took Jameson to the ER for a fever, they told us, your child can have a fever of up to 104 for like 4 days or something crazy. Like, it didn't make any sense to me. I'm not a doctor. I took their word for it. So I just kept giving him ibuprofen thinking he's going to get past it. It's just a virus. I don't want to go have a $2,000 ER bill for them to be like, sure, it's a virus, you know? Then we got to the point he puked one time, which he had a smoothie for breakfast. So I think it might have been that he ate something that he really didn't want, you know? And then by day 4, the fever had not really come down other than us giving out ibuprofen. And we were like, we can't do this anymore. So Bobby and I had made a deal. If he was still feeling bad by day 4, we'll take him to his pediatrician. Well, I called his pediatrician and she's like, I think because he's not drinking and he was not having like any wet diapers or anything, we're probably going to send you to the ER anyways. You should probably just head there first. Yeah. So I'm like, no, because that means they're going to want to do an IV. And I can be tough about a lot of things. That's not one of them. I can't do it when it comes to my kids. So I was really dreading it. Bobby even took off from work to come home to be with me to take him. So I was really grateful for that because otherwise I would have had to do it by myself. That would have been really hard. So took him to the ER. The ER staff was great. And then they told us that he had like severe double ear infections, which made me feel so bad because he had been complaining about his ear pain when we were landing. And I thought it was just because it needed to pop. I had given him ibuprofen. I gave him his juice, really trying to mitigate the pain. And he hadn't complained about it again after that. So then I felt really awful because I'm like, here, he was probably struggling with it then. And I just kept giving him ibuprofen and trying to mask it. And I wasn't getting like an actual diagnosis. So they told us that it had probably been brewing on the flight and that the pressure like really intensified it.
Makes sense, yeah.
So I'm like, all right, fine. But yeah, so we've been giving him antibiotics and trying to get through it, but Bear's been really snotty and not feeling great. Bobby had a day where he was having like body aches, and we had a rough vacation and then a rough coming home and then a rough week after this. So like I feel like we need a vacation to recuperate from the vacation, you know? So yeah. So but it's something that's kind of funny. So while we were there, we stay at this place they call the farm. So it's Bobby's Uncle Richie is the land manager of it. And it is, I think he said it's 400 acres. And it's got this lake on it, this private lake. And then it's got this big, beautiful log cabin on it. We had 4-wheelers. We had borrowed like a side-by-side that was a 6-seater because there was a lot of people. So we could take like big groups out to ride. And it's got 2 bedrooms. One has like a big king bed. The other one has 2 twins. And then because both our family and my older sister Jenny and her boys were there was also 2 air mattresses. So we had got a little taller air mattress from my mother-in-law for Jameson's birthday. And then the last couple of nights, my younger sister-in-law decided she was going to stay with us too. So I'm like, okay, we'll put Jay on the taller air mattress. You guys can have this other one. So the other air mattress had gotten rolled up and kind of put away. Well, the morning of, when we're getting ready to leave, it was 3:30 in the morning. So we were not our best selves. Bobby packed that air mattress, the huge queen size one, in our check bag, and was getting so mad that we were leaving with less stuff and he could not close this bag. He thought it was our toddler one, so he just packed it all together. And so I'm like basically sitting on the top of our bag trying to get this thing to zip. We're running late trying to get out the door, and we get to the airport after we'd already missed our flight, and Uncle Richie's girlfriend texts us and was like, because they had gone over to the farm to start cleaning, and was like, where's the air mattress? And Courtney is a group text, says, oh, it's in the bedroom with the twin beds. She's like, no, there were 2. One is missing. Bobby just goes, I packed it. I'm like, what do you mean you packed it?
We really needed this at home.
Yeah. What do you mean you packed it? He's like, I put it in the big blue suitcase. Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking, like, of all the time we could have saved.
Yep.
All the space in that bag where I was like, everybody else is out in the car waiting on us for our last 2 bags. And I'm like shifting stuff around, playing Tetris, trying to get stuff to fit and zip. Uh-huh. We would not have had so many issues that morning had I had caught that he had tried to pack it, and had he had caught it himself, that it was not our air mattress. So now I have to try to send home an air mattress in the mail in a box. So
it might be cheaper just to buy them a whole new one and just get it sent there.
Yeah, maybe I should just transfer the money, or like just Amazon a new air mattress. That's a good idea. Yeah. I might do that. We might just have an air mattress.
Yeah.
Now.
You could do like a TV nights downstairs with the air mattress.
Oh, we do air mattress movie nights.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, we haven't done one since Bear was born, but Jay loved it. And we put it like right on the TV, and it was like, it was great. Mm-hmm. So it was a lot of fun. But, yeah.
See, that could be a funny story that you guys remember and tell later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll be like, hey, remember that air mattress that we stole 10 years ago? It's in the closet now. But, yeah. I had a hard time. My anxiety was like on overload in Georgia. And I think it was because there was a lake, and I have a hard time with my kids in water. And Jameson, every time we were outside, that's where he wanted to be. He wanted to be on the dock. And then he found out how cool a fishing pole was. There was like a little kid one. And so he got to put that in the water, and then that was all he wanted to do. He just wanted to sit on the dock with a fishing pole. But under the benches, because that farm isn't always used. It's the family's like personal, I guess, like lake house. And then they will rent it out to people for special occasions and things. But there's not somebody constantly at the cabin. So there were wasp nests that had formed under the benches. And we were coming home one day, and my mother-in-law comes like running up the driveway with a bag. And we're like, what's going on? And she's like, oh, Beckett got stung by a wasp. And we're like, what the heck? So we go in and we find out that Beckett was down on the dock and had literally crawled up under the bench and grabbed the wasp nest and got attacked by these wasps. So she had gone to get him Benadryl. Yeah. So then there were still like some lingering ones. And later, Jameson went down there with my mother-in-law and got stung. So it was like one thing after another.
Of course, that's always how it happens,
I'm
right?
like, this is not a vacation. Yeah. I feel like I'm putting in more work now than I do at home. Mm-hmm. And it was so good to see the Georgia family and getting to like host dinner at night and having everybody together, and that was great. But just feeling like I had to be this like helicopter mom, or like just out of basic necessity safety, making sure that I knew where my kids were, that I had eyes on them, or knew who they were with, or, I mean, that cabin's not exactly kid-proof, and it shouldn't be. It's like a hunting cabin, so I wasn't expecting it to be kid-proof. But my anxiety with the water, and that there were critters out there, and wasps, and all this stuff, I was just like, I was not fun. It was not a super fun vacation for me, aside from the family stuff. But, like, the day-to-day stuff was stressful. It was really, really hard. So I'm like, do moms just not have vacations anymore? Like, we're not the ones that have fun anymore. It's like kids and husband, and we're just the bag ladies.
I think it's just
crisis control,
the ebb and flow of life, just like as if you were to stay here in Vegas, at home. There's going to be weeks where you're going to have like amazing weeks where the kids are so well behaved, everything just falls into place. My house is like kept up and it's tidy and it's clean. Everything's great with my partner. Everything just like, the perfect puzzle pieces. And then you're going to have weeks where everything just like goes out the window. Like your house is a disaster. Your kids are sick. You're arguing with your husband. He's super stressed out with work. You're super stressed out with your own stuff. It's just an ebb and flow of life, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just like, okay, these things happen. And just to like kind of go with it. but then also reminding yourself of like, okay, so when you said, I need to focus on being present and mindful in this present moment, sometimes this present moment sucks, and you just kind of have to focus on like, okay, let me change my mindset and just focus on like what I can control.
Okay.
What can I control right now in this moment? Mm-hmm. And it can be, especially when your anxiety is so heightened, a really terrifying feeling, because in the reality of life, we really don't have very much that we can control at all. But it's also a very freeing moment when you realize like, I don't have to obsess about this and think about it and worry about it anymore because I have absolutely no control over it. Mm-hmm. And then you just choose to let it go. And it's a practice, like a daily practice. It's not just going to come like, oh, once I apply this mindset, everything's going to fall into place wonderfully. It's not necessarily how it works. It's just something to keep in the forefront of your mind of, okay, while these things are happening, this is what I can kind of remember and focus on. Mm-hmm. So also with the trip, learning from experiences, learning from flying with kids, learning from situations that you're placed in. You were so well prepared for your flight there, mm-hmm. with the snacks and the toys and all of the activities. Like there's stuff that you were saying that I was like, wow, I haven't even heard of these things, or I wouldn't have even thought about them. And that's a great idea. So learning from those experiences and then applying it for the next time. Mm-hmm. And you and I are different in the sense of when we first started talking too, you said, I like to have layovers, mm-hmm. and I like to get off the plane and stretch and move and have my kid run around. For me, I'm like, get me there, like in one shot, because the more I change flights, the more I have to get off of a plane, the more I have to get on to a new plane. What I think about is the likelihood it's going to get delayed and I'm going to get stuck there.
Okay.
So that's what I don't like.
Yeah.
And I don't like to change my kid from a different situation to another situation. Like you can sit there for a good chunk of time. I'm going to keep you entertained. I'm going to do my best. And we're going to get there in one straight shot. But also being aware of that. So what works for me doesn't necessarily work for you. But being aware of, okay, this is what's going to help me lower my anxiety. And this is what I'm going to apply moving forward. Mm-hmm. So also learning from, okay, if there is another situation where we go back to the farm, or there's another situation where we're stuck in a rural area that's nature ridden, mm-hmm. what am I going to put into place that's going to help prepare the situation? Maybe it's like sitting down with your kids and talking to them about water safety, mm-hmm. or practicing in a pool a bunch of times before you go. Like, mm-hmm. this is how we approach water. This is what we do. Talking about the dangers of wasps and bees and being mindful of that. And like, if you see something flying around, you come to me. Still a likelihood you could get stung, but at least it's, you're talking about it before you're there. Just applying all of these things before you get to those situations, I think will help make it easier. Mm. And if you have the mindset of, I don't want to take any trips with my family until they're 10 or until they're older and they can just kind of entertain themselves, that's fine. I think that you should still take vacations with Bobby, with your partner.
Yeah, we might just stick to the West Coast for a while.
Yeah, or that. Yeah, like some people hate flying with their kids and they'd rather drive. Some people hate driving with their kids and they'd rather fly. Just being aware of what is going to help reduce your anxiety, being prepared, focusing on like, okay, with these stressful situations that happened before, what do I need to put into place? What do I need to put into place that's going to help me lessen that anxiety moving forward? Mm-hmm. And then doing those things.
Yeah. And I realized, like, in hindsight, we probably could have just laid out the ground rule that, Jameson, you don't go down to the dock without a life vest, regardless. If you want to be down there, you have a life vest.
See, you know that now.
Yeah. And we didn't figure that out till probably like the second to last day that we were there. We were like, we probably should have just established that and not had to worry about it. So now I realize that I'm saying it out loud, that it's kind of contradictive that I would sit there and be like, yeah, I want a layover. And then here we got a layover in Tampa. And I'm like, no, boo, So now kind of talking it through, it's like there's things I probably could have changed. But I had such anxiety prior to the trip, stressing about the upcoming trip. And when I would talk to Bobby about it, he's like, I don't understand why. Like, why you're making yourself sick about it. Mm-hmm. And I think he just didn't understand, like, for me, I find comfort in preparation, especially when it comes to the kids. I'm very type A that way. So if I know that the diaper bag has everything I'm going to need for every possible scenario that could come up, that makes me feel better about upcoming things. It kind of like reduces my anxiety a little bit. So while he was saying like, you're like over prepping, and he's more of the kind of person who will face challenges as they come. I'm like, that, I understand that. But also, if we have a challenge of this, I want to make sure that we have a solution for it. I don't want to be on a plane with a hungry toddler and be like, well, he's hungry. It's out of my control. I don't have food, you know?
Yeah.
I want to be able to say, yes, he's hungry, and this is something I can control. I have this figured out because I was prepared.
Yes.
So that's where he and I kind of differ, is that he's kind of a fly by the seat of his pants kind of guy, and we'll just deal with things as they come along. Mm-hmm. His famous phrase is, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And it has driven me crazy since we got together, because he's always been that way, where I'm like, hey, what time are we going to leave on this day? What time will we get there? And he's like, we'll just kind of figure it out. I'm like, that's not. Yeah, like, makes me twitch a little. Yeah. Like, I don't want to just figure it out. And sometimes I feel like, yeah, things are so easy for you to figure out because I'm in the background doing planning the behind-the-scenes work, making sure that it's easy for you to figure out. So you're like, figure it out because Jameson's hungry. Oh, we'll just figure it out because there's snacks in the bag that I packed, you know? If it was just you by yourself, you would have a hard time just figuring it out. So I definitely had a lot more of the stress, I think, than he did. And it's hard to explain that to him when I'm so overly stressed and my anxiety is going crazy, and trying to get myself to calm down, then also trying to communicate that to him when I don't really know how to explain that in a way that he's going to hear it. Because I explain it in a way that I think is easy to understand, but he might not. Mm-hmm. It might be not communicated effectively for the way that he hears it.
Yeah.
So,
well, and then that's also where I would say your partner isn't supposed to fill every void that you have in life. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying this just like for you. It's for everybody out there. Your partner, that's not their job to fill every single place where you're missing something.
Yes.
Sometimes your partner will do that for you. They'll fill that part for you, and they'll say like, let me step up, let me help you with this. But sometimes it's going to be somebody else that's going to fill that for you. Mm-hmm. So if you're having this heightened anxiety, maybe it's calling a girlfriend or another mom friend that you know that's like, yeah, I get it. I understand. Like, let's talk this through and let's help each other, or let me help you. Or calling your mom, or somebody that's going to understand and say like, I'm a mom. I've traveled with kids before. I understand. Like, let's talk this through. Mm-hmm. Even writing those things down. Like, I'm worried about my kid getting hungry. I'm worried about him dropping his binky. I'm worried about this and this and this. And writing all of those things down. Maybe next time you pack extra binkies too.
That's a good idea.
And you're just like trading them off. And you're just like, here you go. Maybe you're bringing a clip for his binky that's clipped to his shirt.
So he had one.
Oh, and he's just like yanking it off.
He was using it as like a helicopter to kind of whip around and drag along seats. And
yeah. So that could be your binky that you drag, but then here's another one.
Don't put that one in your mouth.
Yeah. That you know, so like figuring these things out, but talking to somebody about that, that's going to help you figure it out. And then in regards to your partner, if there's something that's going on in your life that they don't understand, we're all different human beings. We all have different challenges. We all have different experiences. He may not just understand. He's just like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get stressed out with flying, and that's okay. But then being able to communicate, this is what I need from you, and being very clear and very direct. Like, I know you don't understand my anxiety in regards to flying, but what I need for you to do is X, Y, Z. I need you to hold the baby while I can get up and I can walk around by myself to ease my anxiety. I need you to do this. I need you to do this. And like being very clear about it and concise, and letting them know like, you're my partner, but this is what I need so that I can function and be the best for you and for our kids is going to be very helpful too. So those are like little tips that maybe, you know, and these are things that we're primarily talking about traveling, but these are things that you can apply in other situations later on down the road too.
Yeah, and this is kind of trailing off, but me personally, I have a hard time communicating things with Bobby because I feel like if I bring up to him, this is what I need from you every single time that I need something, I feel like it comes across as like I'm too needy. Like I need too much, and I'm terrified of that being my label as a woman. And I don't know why. I don't want to be the needy damsel in distress. I want to be the one that can figure it out for myself, even if it literally eats me from the inside, trying to figure out how I'm going to do this. And I'm irritable and I'm, just boiling underneath. At least I figured it out myself. But if I'm like communicating to Bobby, hey, this is what I need. Hey, this is what I need today. This is what I need today. I'm so afraid that he's just going to be like, God, when do you not need something?
Well, maybe we can talk about boundaries.
Yeah, that's
another
a great idea. But I'm like the kind of person that like I am so anti-confrontational that I will avoid it basically at all costs. Now, if I'm provoked to the point where I've just had enough, then I just kind of erupt, and that's an issue also. But
yes,
if I'm in a drive-thru and somebody gives me the wrong order, that's what I'm eating today. I'm not saying anything about it. I know I ordered chicken nuggets and you gave me a wrap, but this wrap looks delicious. And I'm not saying shit about it.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks. This is exactly what I wanted. So I'm not a confrontational person. And that is a problem, I think, with my communication with Bobby, is I'm so afraid of getting like a negative, I don't know, negative label, or him thinking negatively about me because he thinks I'm too needy, or, so that's hard. And that might come from like past relationships or childhood or something else. I know it's not him that's the problem in this, it's me. And as an adult, it's my responsibility to figure out how to be better and how to get past that. But it's just, I'm a work in progress with communication.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's hard. But, all right, we can wrap up this episode if you're cool with that. Yeah. And don't forget to give us a follow on Instagram at Nora's Table Podcast. Go follow Ignis Umbra on Instagram and Facebook. They have been amazing. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see our new backdrop. It looks amazing. Richard did such a good job with this place. And we also have a Facebook page and a YouTube. And if you're watching, you already knew that. So we will catch you guys next time.